Hello and welcome to Bahrain Now, your source of local initiatives, happenings, talents, and trends. I'm your host, Khalid Hijris, here to walk you through our exciting lineup of segments and personalities from around Bahrain. So don't go away, we'll be right back. The film industry has always maintained somewhat of a legendary status, almost untouchable, but one filmmaker's career serves as a testament to the potential of Bahrainis when they commit to their passions. This esteemed director earned the distinct honor of winning the Best Director at the Global Golden Lion Film Festival for his film Influencer Inc., which competed against 400 other film titles. And he's here in the studio to tell us all about the experience. Join me in congratulating and welcoming the director of Influencer Inc. back to the show. Hello and welcome, Aziz. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Khalid? First of all, thank you for having me. I'm a massive fan of you personally. I'm a massive fan of the show, Bahrain Now. I tune in whenever I can, and it's an absolute pleasure to be back here once again from the studio, live and in living color.
It's a pleasure to have you back as well. And actually, last time you were here, we were actually talking about Influencer Inc. So to start us off, you have a very impressive catalog of films, right? What made you specifically enter Influencer Inc. into the festival?
Let's say it was time. Obviously, the first time I came along, I was like, Influencer Inc. is a TV show, and it would always be a TV show, but it could be watched as its own separate thing, as a standalone film. But let's put it this way, I don't really play by the rule book. There's a lot of people playing by the rule book. I attempt to do stuff by the rule book, and once negotiations happened, or like conversation that I did not like happened regarding a TV show for Influencer Inc., I decided to take matters into my own hand. And I think I'm a type of person who would, instead of playing by the rule book, because everyone else is playing by the rule book, I'm the type of person who would do contract negotiations live on air. And I think this is my own way of saying, hey, we're up for a deal. We'd want to gather as much awards as possible, and we'd like the best deal to do Influencer Inc., and that's whether it's in Arabic, English, Chinese, or any other language. We're happy to do this concept, and it's just a way. I think it was time to call to action. It was time to just take matters into my own hands and play it by my own rulebook.
Absolutely, and I think that was a great way of potentially like opening up the audience to Influencer Inc. because I had the privilege of watching it. Thank you so much for sharing it with me, by the way. And it is absolutely it is a must see, and it's no surprise that it won this award. And also, your approach, I think, as a filmmaker has always been somewhat, and correct me if I'm wrong here, it's sort of like breaking boundaries and sort of getting out of your comfort zone, even within the industry, and that's sort of how you seem to have built your status as a filmmaker. Would you say that that's right?
Yeah, definitely. Breaking boundaries, like leaving your comfort zone, is a must. Like, especially if you're talking about filmmaking in Bahrain, maybe it's seen in a way where like, oh, you should only do films in Arabic. That's the only way. And to me, no. I think films should be representations of who you are, regardless of the language, because film by itself is a universal language. I've seen films in languages I couldn't understand. I understood the entire film, I understood the concept, and I got emotional sometimes. Some of the best concepts, if I talk about La Vita e Bella, an Italian film, Parasite, a Korean film, languages that I cannot speak and would never speak, but then like there's such good films that they transcend the barrier of any language. And this is the thing where like I'm very open. I've done stuff in English, Arabic, Chinese, and have you do other stuff, and like there is no boundary for filmmaking, because the only boundary is your imagination.
Absolutely, and I think that's very beautifully said. And it's like you said, I think the beauty of film is the fact that you are taking human experiences, whether they're fictionalized, whether they're a bit more on the real side, and you're showing the emotion behind it. You're showing the experience,
Yeah.
and I think it's like you said, you don't really need to speak a specific language or do things a specific way. I think the more I mean, certainly there are probably tropes to the trade, right? But I don't think there is an exact formula for how you create a film. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. By each its own. And if we'd go and talk about Influencer Inc., there are like generally two approaches for filmmakers and audiences alike. When they watch Influencer Inc., they'd either love this film, they think this is new, this is a brand new concept, this has never been done before. It's such a cool thing, and I tend to like, I wouldn't make a film if I'm not convinced by its concept. And I tend to be on that side. However, the other side, this film breaks every single set of rule book that has been ever written on like TV and even film by itself.
Can you elaborate
for
on that?
example, I look straight down that camera and like I wave because my actor knows that they are on live air, they are on camera, they're being filmed right now, and they talk straight to the camera, they wink at the camera, they move the camera, they break the fourth wall. Comment sections in the film talk about other things. When you look at the actors of the film, like they mention their previous work, and like it's a whole different concept of like there is no fourth wall. Like they all know they're a part of a play, and to filmmaking traditionalists, like they absolutely hate this look right here, and they look at the camera and talk straight to camera and say, well, we're live, we're on a film, so it's something by its own. And I think it needs a bit of bravery to do it and still consider it as a film, I think.
You know what, I have quite strong opinions about this, because I'm generally, I think there was a certain time where I think maybe certain movies kind of gave rise to this kind of whole popularity of the idea of like, you know, having a bit of meta interactions basically in film. And it's one of those things where if it goes wrong, it goes really wrong, or it can become a little bit obnoxious, quite frankly, and it can take you out of the experience. But when I watched Influencer Inc., all of these nods, all of these breakings of the fourth wall didn't diminish from my engagement. In fact, it actually made me feel even more engaged in the story. Could you explain how did you do that? How did you take something that, quite frankly, in a lot of other medias, I would find very obnoxious and make it an enjoyable part of Influencer Inc.?
First of all, I appreciate the kind words you said about the film, and like I brought this up recently in a conversation with a friend, and it generally stems down to world building and how you build your world. Let's put this as an example here. If suddenly you're watching The Godfather and suddenly they break into camera and they're again looking straight to camera, like hello, and they wave at the camera and they all know it's a part of a film, it would take you off. However, when you build the world of Influencer Inc., the first thing you figure out, she's editing, then she's like, oh, she's live on camera, and then she's like live on air, and then like you just built a world where everything is possible. You just built a world where like anyone, any like random character could be a major character. And I think the world building is very essential for any film to make that possible. And I think this is one of the rare possibilities where myself, and if this is not my film, I would like agree upon like, oh, you could break all the rules of filmmaking because your world breaks all the rules of filmmaking. And this happens in a lot of fantasy films. This happens in a lot of mockumentaries as well. We talk about like Borat, for example, breaks all the rules purely because he overwritten a world that could break all the rules.
Absolutely, and I think it's like you said, it really does come down to the world building, because I think when you break the fourth wall in Influencer Inc., it fits in that world. It feels very organic, because essentially the whole thing even just feels like you're watching a creator's live, basically. And at certain points, that's what it is. And so it just makes you, it really does bring you into the world, and it gets you invested in the story. And actually, I would say it does a really good job of breaking down the barrier between audience member and the narrative. And I believe even you had, there were nods to Queen of the North, one of your films,
Yeah.
in the in the comments, which, like you said, like when the actors bring up their work and everything, it kind of blurs the lines a bit more, and it doesn't come off like, you know, I think a lot of other mediums try to do this in very promotional ways. You managed to find that sweet spot between, I mean, I'm sure you're familiar with how some brands now, they comment on social media, and that to me feels so inorganic.
Yeah.
They try to feel like part of the joke. But I felt within your movie, Influencer Inc., it wasn't about being part of the joke. It was about being part of the world.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a part of the world, and like I would never act in my own films, but I thought it would be funny, like if I'm in and halfway through the film, everyone is just ranting over me and like, way before the film ends, I'm wearing a shirt that says directed by Aziz, and like it just nods to, hey, I'm the director behind the camera, wink wink, and it just works in that world. If I'd put that exact scene in any of my other films, it would just ruin it. But I think for like that specific case, I think that led us to winning the Best Director award at Golden Lion Film Festival.
Actually, moving back to the festival, how did it feel to earn that recognition for Influencer Inc.?
Well, it's absolutely mind-blowing, purely because you're competing against 400 people. And if I'd take it, like, throughout my career, I've been told more no's than yeses. I've been told more of like, oh, this is not what we're looking for at the minute, or like, this does not fit our identity, or like our brand, or our like concepts or ideas. And like, especially for a film that ruins like the playbook of filmmaking, that plays with it that much. You'd expect a lot of film traditionalists, and that's the majority of audience at film festivals, regardless of where we are in the world. Like, they're more of like the classic type of filmmakers. You should never look at the camera. You should always like not let the audience in the know. The audience must not know as much as the characters and all that. And you see, I just won the Best Director award. Like, I think we've moved something. We've done something as good. And like, here's the thing: as a director, you're only as good as your actors, because there's a limit of how much you could direct an actor. There's a limit of how much I could improve on a performance. And I'm very glad I worked with megastars: Jasmine Mitchell, Rachel Stockdale, Kitty Devlin, and John Bowler. They made me look good.
Absolutely, and they performed marvelously. And it's like you said, the movie can only be as good as the actors, and they really sunk into the skin of their characters, and they really brought them to life. Now, I'm noticing there's a lot of talk, since we started this discussion, talking a little bit about like there seems to be this sentiment of staunch kind of traditionalism in the film industry, and I with my limited understanding of how media works is, for example, there are certain tropes or certain standards that you want a piece of media to adhere to, right? And then on the other hand, you also want to break out of the comfort zone of that media in order to bring something fresh to the table. Do you think there's a change in attitude towards that kind of staunch traditionalism?
Maybe I'd say, because like purely after the success of Influencer Inc., I think, yeah, people are starting to accept like ideas that are so out of the box that would like break the traditional rules of filmmaking. Because if we truly think about it and really dig deep, I could argue, in like a lot of ways, with the exception of CGI, film did not change since 1990. There is no significant change, with the exception of CGI and graphics. Like, I don't think the ways where we tell stories have changed since the 90s. But now I think more people are embracing that, more people are like reacting with times, and I think Influencer Inc. is just a testament for that. And like, this to me personally, and like one thing that really means the world to me, is we got nominated as well in November for Tees Valley International Film Festival, which is happening in Tees Valley, and Tees Valley is in the northeast of England, and it's somewhere very near and dear to my heart. Obviously, Rachel Stockdale, my actor, who I've worked with a lot, whether it's an Influencer Inc. or Dinner with My Family, Stars Align, she's from there, and that really means the world to her as well, being nominated there. And to me, the northeast of England is a place I lived in. It's a place I also call home, and the fact that we're nominated there just like really means the world to me. And I think November would be very great for the film.
Inshallah, and it just sounds like a beautiful way to wrap kind of a bit of your cinematic universe, kind of anchor that in reality. Now, speaking of the cast and crew, actually, how did they react to this victory?
Oh well, they loved it. They're over the moon about it. Like Rachel Stockdale specifically. Rachel is and this is the reason I love that I'm saying it live on air. This is the reason I love to work with Rachel. I don't go through an agent. I don't go through anyone. I just go directly through Rachel, and Rachel tends to be like the all-in-one Joker card. So Rachel's an actor. Rachel could be the director. Rachel could be the writer. Rachel could be the producer. And So Rachel is generally very involved with the film, regardless of how much time has passed. So Rachel would always be asking, like on a weekly or like every 2 weeks, she'd send me a text message saying like, "Where did it go? What's the update? I'd like to know." And I love working with actors that are always like protective over their work, that are always wanting to know more about their work, and like that are generally loving that. And I think it's the best gift I think we could give to Rachel and the entire crew and cast. Is just we're in Tees Valley International Film Festival in November. I think that means the world, especially that even in the world of the film, we've wrote two characters that are from the northeast of England, and it's purely out of my love for that region, I think.
You know, it's also really great to see how the people you work with are. It's like you said, they're not really. It's not like a role that they kind of just fulfill and then they're kind of like, yeah, you know what, I'm over it. There's clearly an investment in the stories to be told, and clearly they carry a lot more skills than just acting as well. And that's sort of kind of, I suppose, what the entire endeavor of film is, because it's never just one skill. It's so many different things brought together. When it comes to that, like, how do you think that's reflected in this victory? Like, what do you, if you had to summarize some core elements of Influencer Inc. and credit them to the victory of this award, what would be your summary?
Core element, like the cast and crew. Obviously, they've done a tremendous job from an insane idea, let's say, that I had in mind, and they've transformed it into reality. To like them working so hard into making this not look like a complete joke. It's like semi-joke because it's comedy, haha. But it's like it still respects filmmaking in all ways, I think. And they've turned like they've turned my dreams into reality. They've turned my ideas into reality, and I think just having them work so hard on it, I think it's paying off now, and I hope hopefully it would pay off like a lot in the future, because having a TV show, obviously, I'll bring in the majority of the crew. And one person I'd like to nod to, my good friend Tony Park, who worked with me since day one on becoming the Queen of the North, and stayed until Influencer Inc. and we'll still work together in the future, has just done 28 years later straight out of my film, and that stars Cillian Murphy. It's been screened all around the world. He was a sound trainee on that film, and like it just means the world to me that someone, a good friend of mine, someone who's done a lot of good work for my films, just goes and does these massive blockbuster films like directly after my films. Just means the world to me. I think their success means way more than mine.
I think it's really incredible to see as well how passionate everybody is. Everyone who is involved in this really is about film. And, you know, to kind of nod back to what we were talking about earlier, I think the landscape of film, it's constantly changing. We even said this last time. You mentioned as well that, you know, as a comedy, I think there is a general kind of dismissal of comedy, kind of offhand. It's sort of not always seen with the same seriousness or consideration that that, you know, kind of more quote-unquote serious films have, right? Even though the same skills go into it, I would say even it's a bit arguably more difficult, because in order to make it a good comedy, you know, I mean, that takes a bit of finesse. Did you run into any kind of dismissals or naysayer kind of attitudes with Influencer Inc. because it was a comedy?
Definitely. I knew that. Like, even with the idea, when like we took it out of the negotiations, and we're like, I'll do it on my own hands, and I'll take it out of the playbook, and I'll take it to the film festivals. I knew for a fact that, well, like once I take it to the film festivals, the film traditionalists are the audience of the film festival. They're on the judging panels. They're everywhere. So I know for a fact, if this was purely a drama that respected the rules of filmmaking, like I would definitely have a higher success rate. But this is a film that challenges the norms of filmmaking by every single definition of norms of filmmaking. So yeah, let's just take the matters in our own hand and see where it ends up in 6-7 months from now.
Very well said. And do you think that, the success of films like Influencer Inc., do you think that that will encourage, maybe, especially with a victory like this, do you think it'll encourage other filmmakers to be a bit more bold in their approach to film and kind of not go with the, albeit useful, tried and trusted methods? Do you think it'll encourage them to experiment a bit more?
Definitely. I think I said that in the previous interview. I'll say it back again. Fight for your dreams, and your dreams would fight for you. I think there is no limit into making a good film. There is no limit, or there is no way of making a film unless you love it and you truly believe in the idea. Then go ahead. If you fail, you tried. If you did not fail and it was a success, well, I'm glad you tried. And yeah, it's just like when this idea came up and we looked at it, and I was like, oh, I'd love to do that as a TV show. And I even have a version of it that's fully written in Arabic, so I am open for negotiations. But like, I think like when I saw this concept, I was like, let me go and try it, and hopefully it inspires people. If it hasn't done already, I think it would inspire people once it's a bigger deal, maybe in 2, 3, 4, 5 awards. But definitely, I think people should attempt to try stuff, and people should attempt to leave your comfort zone, because film has been on repeat for a very long time.
I think it's a really good message what you just communicated, especially for people who are looking to get into film. I think there has been an increase of interest. I think there's been an increase of people actually getting into film, but I think as well, a lot of people hold back. Maybe because they're a little bit afraid of going against the status quo when it comes to the culture of film. Maybe they're a bit too afraid to make something a little bit more inventive. I think sometimes at a certain point people get a bit too afraid of reinventing the wheel. But I think what you said, especially about like fight for your dreams and your dreams will fight for you, I think that if you're willing to take that risk, you can come up with potentially the next Influencer Inc. And just to wrap this up, I'd just like to ask you what's next. What are you planning to do next? Because I'm a huge fan of your approach to directing. I think your films are very human based. I think that no matter your method, I enjoy the madness that goes along with that method, and I'm really curious to know. Without anything vague, I'd like a little bit of a hint, like something specific. What's next for you?
Okay, I'll not go vague. I'll just go straight and say it. I love the madness attached to it as well. I love the madness. I love I think there are certain things, and I'm glad you touched upon the human side of things that like identify a film is mine, and it really means the world, because like I kind of have my own genre now. So thank you for saying that. But yeah, it's human based, it's reality based, it's a series of episodes we're doing, and it's related to games, it's related to pop culture, it's related to a lot of things that we're working on. So far we've got 6 episodes, 4 more to go, so I think it's just brilliant to be working on that specific project at the minute. And games, pop culture is another thing I really love, and they're very related to social media and Influencer Inc. in a lot of ways. And I think like just having those two attached would be something massive. And yeah, hopefully a full-on show before Influencer Inc. becomes its own full show.
That's incredible. I really can't wait for that to become public. And I'd like to thank you for sharing that with us. And I can't wait to see this next addition to the Aziza Tamimi extended universe.
Oh, thank you, Khalid. It's an absolute pleasure to be back on Bahrain Now. As I said, my favorite show on live TV. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Can't wait to see what you come up with next. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We have more coming up on Bahrain Now. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at what's going on beyond the studio in the following report.
great to be out here at the Royal Concourse. It's lovely to see so many collectors flying down and being present in Bahrain. It's the first time we've seen such a massive lineup and collection, and the passion for the vehicles. It's great to see so much under the same umbrella. And as Bahani as well, it's a pleasure to participate. We're bringing some really unique cars, including the Audi RS3 LMS. We have some of our latest models as well from Bentley, Lamborghini, and Porsche. It was a great opportunity to see so many other classic vehicles, for example, the Lamborghini Miura, which was brought by the Lamborghini engineer himself, Balboni. It was amazing to see him down here in Bahrain.
It's really special to go to the Royal Bahrain Concourse for the first time, since it's happening for the first time here in Bahrain. Yeah, my favorite car that I've seen here probably could be the McLaren P1 or the Ferrari, the LaFerrari, and maybe the BAC Mono as well. That was really special to see, as it's one of my dream cars.
It was a very nice car show. This is our first time I'm visiting in the car show myself, and it's an excellent showcase of so many cars. We see a lot of classic, also modern, contemporary cars, and especially in the luxury cars. This was an amazing event, very fun with the kids to come and watch. And it was very nice to see so many different variety of cars, especially supercars as well as the classic cars. So we had an amazing time, and we hope everyone should come and visit. It's really nice.
I really like this event that they brought something special to Bahrain, like mixing American tradition with Bahrain heritage, and it really brings a nice touch of history. And it's like nice to have like this event here in Bahrain, like in the Royal Golf Course. And I really like the McLaren P1 there. It really is like a unique car, and it has always been my dream car.
It's a fantastic event. It's the first time I've seen something like this come to the kingdom. We have a huge collection of cars, not just from Bahrain, but from the Gulf and internationally. Classic cars, new cars, we've seen some hypercars. It's absolutely phenomenal to see so many cars and see such an event like this in the kingdom, and seeing so many people that are not just car lovers, but also it's seeing families and all sorts of communities. It's absolutely fantastic. The energy is amazing. The quality of people is fantastic. And last but not least, the cars here are, for someone that loves cars.
With its strategic location and strong operational capabilities, Khalifa bin Salman Port welcomed the first cruise ship of the 2025-2026 season, the MSC, carrying more than 5,000 passengers of various nationalities. They came to Bahrain to enjoy a tourism experience that combines authenticity and modernity amidst Bahrain's wealth of historical, cultural, and civilizational sites that reflect the depth of Bahraini identity. Khalifa bin Salman Port's facilities have advanced infrastructure, including berths capable of accommodating large vessels and modern operating systems that support the highest standards of safety and efficiency. It also provides integrated services to the maritime tourism sector by receiving international cruise ships and facilitating visitor movement through well-equipped facilities and seamless operations, making it a key player in supporting maritime tourism. Cruise ship visits to Bahrain are scheduled to continue until March 2026 as part of the current tourist season's cruise itinerary, contributing to boosting tourism and increasing visitor numbers to the kingdom's heritage and entertainment destinations.
this brings us to the end of today's episode. We thank you for watching, and as always, be sure to reach out to us on our social media accounts shown below. We love to hear from you. This was Khalid Idris. Until next time, good night and God bless.